There it goes.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting better now. All right, let's call it a day. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. November 9th, 2021, 7:30. Time for the big meeting. Mr. King, I promised you first.
Well, are we gonna do roll call?
No,
No?
he's first.
Okay.
And maybe Stan
Wow.
will show up
Maybe Stan
anyways,
will
yeah.
show up in the meantime. Hi.
Well, thank you to the board and for everybody for allowing me to speak today. I'm going to try to make it brief, but I wanted to give a little overview of what's been going on at the sheriff's office for the last year and some accomplishments that we've been able to attain within my first year of being in office. So a little bit about myself. My name is Matt King. I'm the sheriff here in St. Clair County. It's been a year now. I was elected in November, and then previous sheriff Tim Donlin left a little early for a job after my election, and it was obviously just a smooth transition of waiting 2 months early before I started my first term, January 1st. I've been a lifelong resident in St. Clair County, other than 2 years of my life. A year after high school, I was hired by the Detroit Police Department, began my career down in Detroit. We had residency back then and had to live in Detroit. So did 2 years there, and I've been here at the sheriff's office for 23 years. I worked my way through the ranks from road patrol deputy. I worked in the drug task force as a deputy, sergeant, lieutenant, approximately 9 years total response team, and worked my way up to road patrol captain. I held that position for 3.5 years, and then, like I just previously said, I was elected sheriff.
One moment. Hello. Okay. All right, see ya. Bye. That was Stan. He's officially not coming.
Oh, okay.
So I've got a document over there. I gave everyone on the board. If you didn't grab one, there's some up on the table over there. I'm not going to read through all these numbers. I'll bore everybody to death and make sure it's even longer than it needs to be. I'm going to hit on some highlights and then talk about a few things we've had to go through the last year, and then move to the back of the document there, the pamphlet. In 2020, the road division handled approximately 40,000 calls. Believe it or not, calls for service. Believe it or not, that was actually quite a bit lower. The reason for that is, like everything else in the last year, COVID-19. I'll try not to say those ugly words so many times, but they did play a big factor in how we policed, how we gave law enforcement services to the community. And you'll see that when I start talking about the work in the drug task force and the correctional facility as well. When COVID came out, we didn't know exactly how to react to it. We knew we had to continue to have services for our public, respond to any calls that needed to be handled. But our proactive work, we had to step back and look at it a little bit to make sure that we weren't exposing our deputies and the public unnecessarily. So you'll see the calls of service were down, but like I said, that was expected, and I'm sure it was that way throughout the nation. Our road patrol does have a lot of specialty units, to include an accident investigative team that is state renowned. We get called from all over the state. We have great accident investigators. We're very proud of the work they do. We have a K9 who does drug tracking and searches for people, and maybe somebody lost in the woods, or a suspect on foot, or somebody hiding in a house. Commercial motor vehicle, very important. Couple of deputies there. If you recall, about 10 years ago, it seemed like about once a month you'd see a trash hauler from Canada coming over. They go through our county and Macomb County to dump the trash from Canada. Well, they'd be rolling over on 94 constantly. We saw a need to have some commercial motor vehicle enforcement because those large trucks were overloaded or not loaded properly, and it caused those accidents and a lot of injuries and, of course, damage to our roads. It's been a long time since the trash haul was turned over on 94. That tells me they're doing their job. They're very proactive as well. If there's a problem with a company, we call them and say, hey, let's work this out. We don't want to ticket you out of your business. That's not what we're here for. We just want compliance so our roads are safe and our not only so the roads don't get damaged, but obviously most importantly so our people in our community are driving around are safe. They do a great job. We have cybercrime that is kind of connected to our detective bureau, special response team, negotiators, and on and on. The sheriff's office maintains contracts with Algonac, East China Township, Fort Gratiot Township, Port Huron Township, Port Huron area schools, Fort Gratiot Township, I think I mentioned that, anchor-based schools, and we just picked up school liaison in Memphis. We're pretty excited about that. They had a need, they contacted us. We spoke with the chief of Memphis, and as most people know, half of Memphis is in Macomb County, half in St. Clair County. Always kind of felt it was a St. Clair County community. I spoke with Sheriff Wickersham from Macomb County. He was all supportive, so we've got a deputy there as well. Drug task force. Our business in 2020 was very different from the drug task force. Like I said, 20 years in the special response team, and we work hand in hand with the drug task force doing their. I say we because I was on the team. I'm not on the team anymore, but up till about a year and a half ago or a year ago. But the work we do with the drug task force is obviously executing their high-risk search warrants along with other tactical work. But the drug task force had to operate totally differently last year. When COVID-19 hit, of course, there was a lot of unknowns. I mean, a lot of people thought it was an immediate death sentence. We didn't know how people were getting their groceries delivered, leaving the garage for 72 hours. We didn't know how contagious the infection was. And we realized that we needed to look at some unit in our agency to be kind of our bench for our road patrol. Our corrections and our road patrol could not go down. That wasn't an option, right? We even talked about changing shifts and people working almost like fireman shifts, 24-hour shifts. We had to in the jail because we can't not man the jail, right? That being said, for the road patrol is the same thing. We needed deputies to respond to emergencies and keep our community safe. If we had a whole shift go down with COVID or maybe a shift and a half, how are we going to respond to those calls? It wasn't an option not to respond. So we kind of put our drug task force in a spot where they were told, don't go out and do what you're supposed to be doing, which is to find drug dealers. Concentrate on the bigger cases. We want to concentrate on our job, but we wanted them to be healthy. So their office is in a totally different office than sheriff's office, obviously, because they do undercover narcotics work. It's an undisclosed place, and they didn't have contact with anybody else at the sheriff's office. So they were told to kind of slow it down. Don't get in contact with too many people, like your informants. Or people out in the community. So if we do have a whole shift down, all those guys that you see once in a while with big beards and they look like they're homeless because they're trying to blend in with society. We're going to shave, get haircuts, and put the uniform on. So you'll see the numbers were down. We usually do closer to 100 grades a year. We did 34 last year. That being said, still at 262 felony charges and 145 misdemeanor charges. And over $850,000 of drugs received. So we still, continue to do our job, but some of our movements are down. The dive team, again, they had to continue doing what they're doing. They do a lot of rescue and search, and mostly recovery. Unfortunately, we know the waters we have in St. Clair County, inland rivers and streams, and obviously the big waters out in the lake and St. Clair River. Our dive team is almost exclusively volunteer. They get paid very, very little, if anything, and they have fundraisers for the equipment, and they have some incredible equipment. Again, proud of their work. They're folks like everybody in this room who have regular jobs, but they dedicate their off time to train and be ready to go out and respond. We have a 29-member dive team. They have some great training, great equipment, and again, we're called to help a lot of other communities because of their expertise. Marine Division. We made a change in our Marine Division. Traditionally, the person who ran the Marine Division was a lieutenant. Traditionally, someone that retired from another agency came back. It's a unique assignment. And we found the need to get somebody internally that could run that Marine Division, was a little bit more invested. So when their time was up in the Marine Division, they'd still be working our agency. It was a better flow of information, working together with all of our entities on the road patrol side. That being said, we also saw a need for a training sergeant. So we're able to marry those two positions. So we have a road patrol deputy who was promoted, and he runs our Marine Division. And he also is a training sergeant. So half the year he's doing nothing but training and tracking training, which was a big problem that needed to be fixed, was lack of tracking of our training. And we're proud of that. But our Marine Division, again, are much like the dive team. They get paid very little. They get to work on their weekends after working all week at their regular jobs, and of course during the week we have deputies out there working as well. And both Marine and Dive obviously have to work all those big events we hear about, like Float Down and the boat races and Mackinac Island, Mackinac race and so on and so forth. There's some numbers in there about some of the investigations they've done as well. Our corrections facility now, there's a group of people, men and women, that work very hard and get no glory, right? You don't ever read some great article about a correction deputy and something cool we did, because they're kind of our forgotten people. They work inside the jail with our inmates and detainees. You know, our road patrol, we have a great community here, right? We're very supported. You know, most of the people in St. Clair County are really, really good people. And then there's some people who prey on those people. And our job is to obviously, on road patrol, to keep the really good people safe from the people that aren't so good, and intervene when we need to. What I'm trying to get at is most of the road patrol deputies day-to-day working is working with folks like everybody in this room, good people. Well, our corrections deputies, all day, every day, they're in there with the worst of the worst of St. Clair County, and then some inmates and detainees from outside the county. So they do a very difficult job. In 2020, there was 3,260 people booked in as inmates at our facility. We average about 5,285. Again, COVID-19. We didn't know exactly how things were going to work. We knew that the jail was a very vulnerable area because everybody's in that area, right? Everybody's in one building, they're separated by pods, but you've got people all getting their food from one kitchen, and deputies moving around and securing that facility. So we got together with the other law enforcement professionals and chiefs and judges and prosecutor and said, hey, we got to come up with a plan here on how we can control the criminal element, but decide who's really going to jail and who's going to maybe get appearance tickets or do a request to charge and deal with at a later date. That being said, there were also some executive orders that were sent down that gave power to the sheriff. I was not the sheriff at the time. I was the law enforcement liaison from the Emergency Operations Center for the county, which was a unique job in itself. But at any rate, power was given for certain inmates to be released, and there were nobody dangerous. Trust me, there are people in there on FOC warrants and other civil type crimes that, you know, sooner or later maybe the only answer is to put this person in jail, but not during a pandemic. So our numbers went down. The amount of people that were arrested went down because all law enforcement were backing off a little bit on their directed patrols and directed action, and making contact more with people when we needed to, and making as many traffic stops and contacts. They did a tremendous job. You know, they had to come up with a whole way of operating that was new, that had never been thought of. So, quick example, on Tuesday, if everybody in this, not pick any people, if everybody over here got booked into our facility on Tuesday, you're all getting tested. You're getting rapid tested, then you're going to get a PCR test, which is a more complete test. And of course, per gender, you three are going to be over here in a cell waiting for your test to come back. You're going to be in a cell, and you can't go back in a general population, I should say, which doesn't sound like that big of a deal until this is a Friday or Saturday night, and instead of 4 or 5 people, it's 15 or 16 or 18. We can't bring somebody in to our general population who's positive COVID and expose everybody, and then we've got a catastrophic situation. So we really had to move around cells, dedicate some of the cells that we used to dedicate for specific inmates to be, you know, if they're COVID positive, you got to wait over here for 14 days. It was very interesting. Extra cleaning, extra equipment. It was very labor intensive, and you know, we're doing great now because we've been dealing with it. But it was very, very challenging, to say the least. We've only had a few people from our facility have to go to the hospital. Knock on wood, we've had nobody pass away from COVID that was housed in our facility. We've had, I think, I know we've had more employees sick from COVID than inmates. That tells me we're doing our job on two folds, right? The people that are doing their job for the county are coming to work every day, and we're also making sure the inmate and detainees are safe. Out of all the employees of St. Clair County, I'm sure there are plenty that never work from home, but nobody from the St. Clair County Sheriff's Office worked from home from the beginning of this pandemic until today. It wasn't an option. I'm proud of the fact that the deputies, whatever the rank is, or position within the agency never stopped coming to work. Nobody, we just knew it, right? You put this badge on, and even the service people who work in our facility know that, hey, you work for a sheriff's office, the option of working from home is not there. So I'm proud of the work they did. There's a lot of other programs, and again, I don't want to go through them all, but a lot of programs help people to be in a better position when they're in our facility to have the tools and
You asked me something about a question. I'm in the middle of a township.
I am. Cooper.
So we believe that if somebody comes to our facility, we have the ability to give them service classes, whatever it may be, we can do that. And hopefully, when they leave, they'll have the choice to change their ways, maybe a drug problem or just a criminal activity problem or domestic violence problem, you name it. So we have a lot of programs. I won't go through them all, but they're listed in the pamphlet. They're all aimed at sending those people back out into our society where we all live better and with some tools so that they don't make some of the same mistakes that landed them back in. So we're proud of those. We have one of the most robust service agenda there in any jail in the county. Our jails also house federal inmates and ICE inmates that make money for the county, which saves county taxpayers tax money, obviously. That being said, we have the most stringent inspection that any county facility does in the country because we're inspected by ICE, which is a federal inspection. So we inspected by the Michigan Department of Corrections, like any jail does. We also get inspected twice a year by two separate groups through ICE. So it's very, very stringent. Our lieutenants work very hard during that week, and it shows how professional our jail is run. You know, it's very stringent, and you know, we could opt out of that and not have to be under that microscope. It would cost the county some money, but I also think besides the money we're able to put back into the budget, we're able to keep ourselves at a professional level that is something we're proud of. We don't want to go backwards on that. So to the back page, accomplishments since 2020, since I took office. You know, I worked under the previous sheriff and with the previous sheriff as road patrol captain. I tell people my office was literally next to the sheriff's, and we shared a wall. So I was part of the previous administration. But with any new administration or any administration at all, I think we should always look at ourselves, figure out what can we do better, what changes might need to be made, or maybe just tweaks to better things. Every time I've been promoted, I live by the mantra, but every time you get promoted, you have more responsibility and less freedom. If you don't believe that when you're law enforcement or any kind of leadership position, I don't think you're doing it right. And I always believe you should always try to get better. I don't care if it's baking a cake or playing softball with your buddies on Thursday night. Try to get better, right? Well, obviously, in a profession like this, we should always try to get better. I have great people in key positions and throughout the agency, so I don't take credit for all this. So I don't want it to sound like I do, because there's a lot of hard work done by others. There's one that I'll boast about that was my creation, and I'm proud of. But again, COVID-19, I kind of went through that with the jail, but we did set up a vaccine clinic in the jail. They've been through twice now. The first group of people that were offered the vaccine, I think at the time there was about 285. Now there's about 385 in our facility. That holds 491. But we had 135 people get vaccinated, and we've had probably another couple hundred between another vaccine clinic, and now we offer it. It's your prize if you get incarcerated. You're offered the vaccine if you want it. So when people are in, we get screened for health things like we always do, including COVID now, and we offer the vaccine to the inmates as they're coming in. Body cameras. We've recently gotten back body worn cameras on all of our deputies. We're proud of that because you know, body cam's been out for a little while, and when it came out originally, we wanted to sit back and kind of watch how this was going to work, right? I always say it's kind of like buying the first model of a new car that, let's say, Ford says we're going to make a new vehicle. You don't want to be the first one to buy it, because guess what? You're the guy that gets to figure out why the trans doesn't work and everything else, right? Or whatever the problem might be. I'm a Ford guy, so.
And I'm a Chrysler guy, and I worked at plants. And usually good products come out the first of the year. They don't really have anything to worry about. They spend millions and billions of dollars on figuring out what's wrong, what will work.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to offend you. My dad worked at Ford. I was raised by auto workers, and that's not my point. My point was, we wanted to sit back and see if there was any tweaks that needed to be made with the technology, policies, and implementation of the plans. So at any rate, we waited a while. The other part was finances, right? The cameras aren't all that expensive, believe it or not, but the storage of the data is very expensive. Imagine our 70 deputies out there with that camera on every time they're interacting with a person, and that data is stored and thrown up in the cloud, and then you throw in our in-car cameras, very expensive. We also had to come up with a funding mechanism that took some time. I'm proud to say we got body worn cameras, like I said, for all the deputies, and in-car cameras through Axon. Pretty cool technology. If you were a deputy and I were a deputy and we show up to a scene, and then we both have our own cars, let's say we're not in the same car that night, you tag the complaint number in which the incident is recorded, and then if we want to review the incident later, we pull up a screen like this, and we'll have your camera on there, my camera, and our in-car cameras. You see different views and different angles of what was going on. You know, I believe that not only was it a great tool to collect evidence, to protect the public and our deputies, but it was also something that would ultimately save our deputies from false complaints. And that was the first time we experienced that was the first couple of weeks of somebody called in. It's a minuscule thing. We're complaining about how he was treated at a traffic stop, saying that he was told not to come back to this county and some other pretty egregious things. And luckily that deputy did the right thing and turned on his camera. We watched the interaction, and it was bizarre because neither the deputy or the person were very upset. I don't think the guy even got a ticket, and they kind of talked, and the guy was given a warning, went on the merry way. And so we called the complainant up and said, hey, you know, we watched the video from the deputy's body worn camera. Did you know we had a body worn camera? And he goes, no, thanks, bye. Hung up. So it's important for everybody, and I also believe it's important to keep up with the times, the demand of the public, and to show everybody that, you know, we got nothing to hide here. You know, we want to show that we're transparent. Court video booths, I'll hit on this next one real quick. And the facility cameras, we got new cameras in the jail. Believe it or not, when the jail was built, obviously we had new cameras built, put in when the facility was built, but that was almost 17, 18 years ago now. Believe it or not, they were analog. And I remember, I'm old enough to remember the tube TVs and people talking about high def TVs. You probably don't know what I'm talking about, but I thought to myself, how much clearer can these things get? They keep changing. While we with the digital cameras in the facility, and it is a huge difference, as we all know, from the technology we have available to us now. It was bad enough before when if there was an inmate fight, we'd watch it and we kind of have to think that's inmate so and so, not real sure, because the cameras are up high and they just weren't great definition. Well, now, I mean, you could say, yep, that's deputy so and so, and he's got 2 dots on his shoe. I mean, very, very, very good cameras. Keeps our inmates and our employees safer, and again, collects better evidence. Because when stuff happens in the jail, you know, we don't find a lot of witnesses. Nobody wants to talk. Well, we've got good information now with those cameras. The video booths. During we've always had a couple of polycom booths, as we call them, where we could do certain court cases or court hearings, you know, like we're doing here, where you're recording, where the person who needs to see the judge for maybe an arraignment or something small can do it over the internet, obviously. Well, we saw a need to obviously bolster that technology. And instead of having 2, we ended up having 5. Then we came up with what we call these phone booths, because they're modified phone booths that the inmates can talk to their attorneys or do some court proceedings through these phone booths. And we're able to really move people around in a safe way without having them leave our facility, except for when needed, right? Trial, anytime a victim has the right to see the person that perpetrated on them, things like that, they have to go to the court. But every time an inmate or a detainee leaves our facility, it's a risk. Even if COVID never existed, you know, people come in going, just regular flu season is kind of tough in the jail, let alone the ability for people to assault somebody to try to escape contraband coming and going. So we're proud of the technology we brought in. We didn't really know how cool it was until 4 different sheriffs so far in the last 3 months have sent people to come and check out what we're doing. So kind of a proud moment there. Always thinking outside the box, trying to find answers to unique problems. Enhancing our training. I talked about our training deputy. We have Lexipol and Police One, which are some of the most well-known training and policy companies now integrated in our training where our deputies. So anytime a law enforcement agency gets sued for something, it's usually brings back to training and policies and being able to prove that the deputy had access to the policy, he was trained on it, when's the last time? Well, we didn't have a good login when that was going on. Now our deputies are able to log on right in our computer, and sometimes they're prompted like, hey, watch this video, and it records it. They watch the video, it's connected to a policy. It keeps the deputies, mind fresh with what's going on and what they need to remember, and it also tracks the training that we have going on. So we're proud of that as well. The employee wellness program, that's the one that I kind of take credit for. I had the unique pleasure to be able to attend the 11-week National Academy in Quantico, Virginia for police professionals. And in that training, I had taken some classes. They're all classes that are vetted and actually secured through University of Virginia. I learned a lot about the needs of a wellness program in the police agency. So the Sheriff's Office is obviously the largest police agency in St. Clair County. It's the 16th largest police agency in the state of Michigan, believe it or not. And we have learned a lot over the last 20, 25 years since I started in Detroit working with Vietnam vets. Those were the guys I worked with because they were on their way out. They were my parents' age and toughen up, buttercup and all that. And I'm kind of old fashioned that way too. Like, okay, toughen up, let's get to work. But on the other hand, got a lot of information about what law enforcement does to a human being, emotionally, in and out of work, physically, and a lot of other things. The cumulative damage that's done with the things that we see in law enforcement is serious stuff. And with this information, I find a responsibility to do something about it. So without belaboring this presentation, the employee wellness program is under development to be an app where people can reach out for help, maybe emotional help, financial help, physical wellness. So our deputies are physically fit and able to do their job well and also live a healthy life when they're not here, and spiritual guidance as well. To be able to reach out and talk to professionals that they want or peer support. And actually the plan is to have some peer support, other law enforcement officers from outside the agency so they don't worry about the crossover of information. That being said, of course, peer support people will be trained and they'll know about the fact that all that has to be top secret, for lack of a better term. So that program I'm very proud of. It's underway now, and so a lot of those resources are out there. With the employee wellness program, always comes a real smart sergeant who's been wanting these exterior vest carriers so they can put their equipment up on their vest. I wasn't a fan. I'm a little old fashioned. I like the police uniform. I want people to know exactly who you are when you get out of the car. I always say, I want you to look like the person I want walking to my grandmother's house if she needs the police. So I was always kind of against them, but I try to keep an open mind because a lot of them, they end up looking like everybody's a tactical officer, right? There's a place for a guy to get out of a car and look like a SWAT cop because business needs to be taken care of. But on the day-to-day, we need to be approachable human beings that can speak to people at their worst moments. So, like I said, a very smart sergeant said, hey, I want to be on this wellness program and help develop some things for him. Like, okay. And he's brings out a PowerPoint with many studies about all the good things that the exterior vest carriers do. It gets all the weight off your hips except for your gun and your taser. And there's studies about the degenerative hip problems and knee problems and back problems law enforcement officers have from prolonged wearing of this gun belt. So they have these exterior vest carriers now, but I did find one that you would be hard pressed to tell that it's not just a shirt other than a couple of items that they have. So it still looks very professional, but it's something that is going to help them physically give us longevity and have them not be worn down and beat down physically. And lastly, again, the school liaison officer, I talked about that. We're even securing another position at the sheriff's office serving the Memphis school district. I hope I got good information out without talking too much because I know you guys got a full agenda. I appreciate the time. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. If you have questions you want to ask in front of people, I'll leave some cards back there. Maybe you can take a photo, so I don't have to leave 60 of them. And you can email or call, of course. And with that, I'll open it up for questions for anybody.
A question, for all these upgrades, how did you guys pay for it? Did you guys get grants or, because it sounds like you did a lot of, upgrades with everything,
So we did do some grants. We got a grant for some extra controls because of the high waters for our marine division. We had lined ourselves up on the CIP through the county and waited in line for a term for some of the more expensive things. And some of it was drug forfeiture money we're able to take out of there under the corporation. There's got to be appropriate uses for that. So we had a lot of cooperation from the county board, frankly.
Nice,
I
very nice.
I always try to throw that out there. I think I skipped it here, but I always say I appreciate the cooperation. We showed a need and they filled it.
Cool.
Go ahead. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Just on the employee wellness program, I noticed you have listed spiritual support. I'm a pastor locally, so how would I get involved in helping if I can, if I'm allowed, or?
Yeah, so I'm glad that the media, I just met with the Blue Water, or I'm gonna mess up the name, Water Pastor Association.
Okay.
We had go about volunteering, and do this.
Yeah.
In our jail, because that's a big part of our services in the jail, we try to marry those. The ability to have a spiritual support within the jail with local people, so when they get out, there's a lot of people in jail and in prison, they find God and find Jesus. When they leave, it's, throw the book behind them and move on and go back to bad actions, right? So we want that connection, so when they leave, they can say, what's your name, sir? Chris. And I talked to Chris and there was a lot of help. I want to connect my other services with Chris with the spiritual part. So, yeah, by all means, we have a couple of, I'm Catholic. I'm kind of probably more outspoken than most law enforcement about my beliefs and my faith without pushing it, because it's America and it's a delicate thing when you share it, but I always make sure that's availability to people in our facility, maybe be housed there or work with us. So give me a call, and Deputy Furnace in the jail is really kind of heading up the spiritual end of it. So yeah, I'm glad to see you, meet you.
Yeah, great.
Okay, do you care about illegal marijuana anymore?
Yes, the problem is define illegal, that the law was written so horribly. But yes.
When somebody just rents a building and does a commercial situation, and I know of a couple of them that we have, how do I deal with that? I mean, I've called and nothing's happened.
Yeah, so the problem is, we go knock on the door, they tell us to go, where, and we have to leave. But I smell marijuana. Well, do you smell one plant or 150 plants? I can't get a search warrant on smell. So it's really difficult to prosecute. And we work with our prosecutor's office, and our drug task force still tries to keep an eye on it and investigate it. And frankly, the state of Michigan, when they legalized it, made a whole division that's supposed to do the investigations on these things. Because anytime there's something like this, they have to provide funding. We're not going to be funding. So the state of Michigan has a regulatory arm that is supposed to keep an eye on it. So you'll have my contact information if you don't already. Please contact me, and I'll make sure you get some contacts with them. But of course, if you have something, let us know. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar. It's very difficult to
I'm sure it
tell
is.
you I'm going to go take care of this house when all I got to do, and they will, just tell me to leave, get off the property. It's private property. I have 2 plants in there, and I store things or whatever their story is. I know some of the townships are doing ordinances on the amount of voltage that can go to a house and things like that. I'm sure you all know, you all communicate.
Yep.
Trying to get creative with how to handle this problem. We do care.
It's just frustrating when we know, and then they pay their taxes in small amounts. $50,000 in 20s, it's like.
Somehow we
Yeah.
came this legal way to make a lot of money, destroy property, and not pay taxes. And what's really frustrating is, when this started, law enforcement knew, because it's our business, and I have contacts all over the country. And, you know, I'll talk to somebody from Colorado and they're, don't do it, don't do it. I don't wanna do it. You gotta convince the public. Medical marijuana comes out, people try to act like it cures cancer. And I'm not saying there's not a place for medical marijuana. I'm not a doctor, but the way that law is written, if it was really marijuana was a controlled substance, and it's got a medical use. Every other controlled substance that got a medical use, you have to get a prescription for it. And then all of a sudden you can grow 12 plants, and each plant, they say a pound. These plants are trees, and they're making 3-4 pounds. And then it's very, you know, it's upwards of 23 times stronger than the marijuana that, you know, was smoked in 1975. It's a hallucinogenic and a depression, and it's a problem. And we were seeing an uptick with our driving under the influence of marijuana, and you know, it's a problem.
So if I get a hold of you, you'll get me the contact information to at least try to follow up on it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And then the other thing is, and then that's it for me, is that if you know of any recently retired officers or ones that are going to retire that might be interested in ordinance enforcement, I'm looking.
Okay. We've had some movement. There are several that have retired lately, and I'll pass that along.
Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. Anything from anyone else?
I've got one.
Yes.
You spoke about garbage trucks. Can anything be done about the slow rate of their speed on Gratiot from 32 down to town? I mean, I've seen road rage from grandmas. Every time I go down that strip, it's 30 miles.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm like,
I know, right?
You can get up to speed a little more than that.
Yeah.
There's people passing, flipping them off, screaming,
Right.
you know, it's
Not do the flip.
not good.
I know, right?
I'm sorry.
Days for picking up garbage?
No, these are 500 trucks, semi trucks that
Oh,
are coming
okay.
over from Canada.
And that red light is horrible at M19 in Gratiot. Only one,
So-
truck, only one truck
It's
gets through
through
there.
there.
Yeah, so what specific areas are, because that, the last, meeting, I'm going all over the county with these meetings. Last meeting I had, wasn't no garbage truck, but I was able to let our commercial motor vehicle people know, and they're able to do some enforcement now. So what areas?
From 32 mile road down to the.
Yeah, they come off the freeway, westbound on 32 up to Gratiot, and then they head to Richmond.
Okay,
So that would be County Line Road, St. Clair County.
okay, yep.
I mean, I see it every day, every day.
I've been cut off a couple times when they pull, I'm going over the overpass and they're going to come out and they just pull out. They don't, and so I have to slam on my brakes. I actually took a picture of one, but you couldn't read the license plate. It was so dirty because he pulled out in front of me and I mean, I always say you have to watch the other people, not even yourself.
Right.
But that's happened to me several times that.
My wife almost got killed on 32 in Palms because one of their garbage trucks ran the red light. She pulled off, got his number and plate and everything, name or company name, called, wrote, they don't want to hear it.
Well, they usually have a different response when we call, because we follow very, very, very expensive things.
There was no damage, but
No,
she nearly got broadsided. He never even slowed down for a 4-way stop.
I don't want to, you know, join in your frustration, but today I was on the way here. Red light turned green, and I don't even know why I hesitated, but I did. Pulled one of those big tankers, big silver, some kind of liquid in there, came barreling through Gratiot all at once, and I'm talking 55 miles an hour. So I'm glad I wasn't heavy to
yeah.
the pedal, because you guys would have had a speaker today. I'm
Oh,
sure.
goodness.
You've been so bored. No, okay, but all joking aside, it's, yeah, it gets
All right,
scary.
if you could look into that.
Absolutely. I've asked
Appreciate
you
it.
all. Anything else? Appreciate very much your time. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you. I'll put some cards on here.
Thanks.
Okay, Berger,
Here.
Duncan,
Here.
Christie, here. And then let the record show Stan and Brett are absent.
Well, apparently, Bruce, it is working.
What is working?
Well, Diane was talking. How did that happen?
Cooper?
Yeah.
I muted her.
Oh, I know, but how did she join in? Was that through
Oh,
Facebook?
yes, she can do that.
Oh.
She can get on there.
That's
Other
through
people
Zoom.
can too, but I can't advertise it because I
Oh.
can't get on Facebook.
Oh, you personally can't do it. Oh, okay, I didn't understand that.
Everybody that was following our Facebook page is still communicating on there. I just can't respond
Oh, okay.
because my account's been
Suspended.
unauthorized because I can't prove I exist.
Wow.
Go figure, huh?
Yeah,
Okay, we still have a quorum, so we're gonna move on. Comments from the community for items that are not on the agenda. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Yes, sir.
I spoke last meeting.
And your name?
Mike Counts, about the noise problem on Gratiot, Keys Rock and Roadhouse. I was wondering. Follow up on there.
I did go there and I spoke with acting manager. And I was told, tough luck, they're grown-ups, they'll do whatever they want. And so I said, well, I'll shut this down. I don't think you understand. You won't be doing this anymore. You cannot have drunken people out in the parking lot drinking alcohol and burning out of here. And she told me tough luck. And so I called the cops.
Well, he does.
Actually, I called Matt and they sent somebody right out and said that they would be writing tickets. The actual manager spoke with Scott Light and they got with me the very next day and apologized, said that lady was not a manager. She just pretended she was the manager.
That's what you get when you. Call.
And we determined that if they could not control it, they need to stop.
Okay.
And I said, there were people at the meeting that they don't want to put you out of business. They just don't want reckless drivers. They don't want drunk people out in the parking lot. I said, they're not buying alcohol from you if they're pulling it out from under their seat and drinking it out in the parking lot. And you're going to be personally liable for that if they do something. So you need to get this under control. So, I mean, we had a good talk about it and they agreed that they're going to stop it for now. They're going to put some controls in before they decide to do anything again.
I mean, and where can I get a copy of the noise? What is the noise ordinance as far as time?
For a commercial thing, I don't know.
I thought it was like 10 o'clock at night.
You know, I don't know right off, but our ordinance book is in its entirety on the website.
Okay, I couldn't find it on there.
Trying to think of what.
I think you go into the building department. I think it's there and
If
you
I see
scroll
Aaron
down.
Day that used to here, could I get a copy of it or?
Oh, we could show.
Just the
show
noise
you-
ordinance part? Yeah, we can make you.
Yeah, we can show you right on the computer there
Yeah.
what it is and print it off for you.
I thought it was 10 o'clock at night, you know, and I mean,
Yeah, I just don't want to speak
I
out
don't
of
know though,
turn.
like you said, if that's residential or if, we'd have to pull it out. I don't know off the top of my head either.
I mean, the car show is all done for the year.
It's
you know,
done.
because of the weather. But I mean, the Friday night band, it just kept going after 10 o'clock, you know. And I called over there, it's okay, it's 10:15, you know, he went to the township, what, okay. let me
Well,
check.
Now, Scott said he doesn't want any problem and that he's trying to,
And we've asked, tell Scott to stop here, you know, his bar is here, he lives down the road. I
Right.
live right between there, stop in, Scott, let's try to handle this, you know, and he just won't. And you can, my
Well-
wife went there one night, she was so mad, you know, where's Scott? Well, he was there, but he wouldn't come out, you know what I mean, we're trying to handle this. But like I said, someone's gonna get killed. And it could be somebody sitting in this room right now, because you could be driving by there and those cars pull out of there. It's out of hand, I'm just telling you that. Did you mention that about that lady that got ran over in the parking lot to him? No.
yeah, they said that was totally something else. It didn't have anything to do with car night.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know.
yeah. It was Wednesday, it was the night of the car show, and there was one of the classic cars back. Just wanna, follow up.
But I did go there and they promised me that they were looking at the situation and that they said it's, a fine line to try and run a business and at the same time, try to be cognizant of all the neighbors. I mean, they're working on it I guess is all I can say is that they sounded like they cared to me when I got to the right people.
As long as you're working on it, I guess that's all I can ask.
Okay.
Next year, when the car show starts, I guess, I'll be back to complain, and if you can contact the sheriff that was just here.
Well, I'm hoping that they put some controls in
Well, I
place.
do too, if not, maybe.
Because really, people don't need to, 5 or 6 of them drove off ignorant while I was there talking to them, so. I've seen it happen.
Was it car show night?
It was Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah. And it gets to be, and that was my point from day one, we're trying to get a hold of Scott. He might get 75 or 100 cars, which is great. And there's only like 5 idiots, but then it gets to be monkey see, monkey do, all right, and I'll do that guy. And I'm not against the business or nothing. Just, like you said, the one car down there came through my front porch last year.
Well, I hope we put a stop to it, and I will keep an eye on it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, moving on. Communications. Effective December 31st, NBC Sports Network will cease operations on Comcast. Approval of agenda.
I just need to add to old business, the liquor control.
Yeah, you did tell me, but
Yeah.
I wanted to do it here.
The old business.
Yeah. Old business, so E.
E, what do you want it to say?
LCC.
Yeah, so.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended. With E.
And E,
Old
liquor
business,
control to old business, correct?
right.
Second,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carried. Routine business approval of minutes from October 12th. I have a couple of corrections that when you were doing the correction on the D ordinance officer report.
What page are we on?
Page 3.
3?
Yep. D. All right, it says
Oh,
supervisor,
said,
and then aid that he, strike out,
Oh, check it out, okay.
and then permit list and said he, strike out.
okay, wait, supervisor gave a permit list and,
So it would read now supervisor gave a permit list and said, and then get rid of he.
okay,
And then the ordinance officer has worked on these permits. And then my other change is just that I thought we were capping any changes.
I'm sorry.
Capping, capitalized,
Oh, I thought I did, but yeah, I see that I didn't.
and then that's it.
No, I wasn't capitalizing, I was doing bold, but you want it capitalized too?
Well, I
Because they
thought
are,
that's what it was, is bold and cap.
I
Is that
don't,
right?
I don't remember.
I've
there was a lot of
just been
things.
doing bold all along, but if you want it to be capitalized, I don't care.
I don't
Just,
remember.
Okay, I think it's supposed to be bold and cap.
okay,
Okay, so capitalize.
But anyhow, that was it.
so, okay,
Oh, capitalize.
I'm gonna, all right, good.
Make a motion to approve the minutes with the changes.
You'll support. It's spelled capitalized.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carried. Treasurer report. So on the treasurer report, we're not gonna do separate budget thing, right? You know how you made a different new budget?
That's just kind of like for FYI to have on hand.
Okay, well, I found it a problem.
Okay,
Building inspection.
yeah, and that's a time to look at it too.
Right here. The fourth one, it was supposed to be 6 when we're done. It was add 2. And it should be 6,000 instead of 5,000 right there. Trying to find that sheet. Oh, here it is, right here, look. See, add 2 to 4,000.
I put 1
Oh, really?
because it was supposed to equal 10, 5, 6, 7, 17. So 8, 9. Hold on. So 10, 16. Nope. So that one's supposed to be a 2.
Yeah.
The under the second one? Yep, you're right.
For the
Nope,
fourth one.
nope, you're right. Okay, I wrote 1 and
And
at
that's-
least I didn't like, I did what I wrote, but no, yep, okay.
Okay, so I
I'll
went through
change
that.
that. Yep.
And that's the only thing I found.
Yep.
All right, so
Usually when I messed up. I
So what do we do? Just making a motion to file it?
yep.
Yeah, I'll just,
Okay.
I'll, we'll get it every month, so yep, you'll see that.
Cool.
I'll make a little note. Good 2 seconds. The plumbing.
I'll make a motion to file the treasury report with 1 correction.
Treasurer report and the budget.
Oh, okay,
Right, because it was part of the budget.
okay.
It's just, yeah, I just told you guys I'm gonna have it every month, so we
Yeah,
can look
I
at it,
mean,
so, yeah, you can file it whenever you.
To five.
Yeah.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, general fund. Do you like these sheets better?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
like them better than the little sticky note things.
Yeah, there was one that you can tell I wrote on, and it was before it was printed, like, oh, it's for the ARPA thing. And I'm like, oh, they're gonna be angry. They wrote on a piece of paper.
Oh.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to it. Scroll, all these bank statements. Okay, here we go. Okay, do you have any?
I don't have
do
any
you have anything?
questions.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve check number 3183 to 3214 plus the electronic and the total of 25,424.18.
Second,
I'll support.
3184 in there?
3183.
That's probably, is that the void one?
Oh, there is one.
3184.
There is one missing. I don't, it must have been a voided one, yeah. But it should have shown up.
Showing up there then.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
it is weird.
So write a little note or something.
Yeah.
3184 missed.
I'll check for 3184.
Because I know you had one void.
Could
Yeah.
I?
I'm gonna check.
It was just one electronic. You said 2 electronic, but there's just one.
All right, Duncan,
Yes.
Berenger,
Yes.
Christie, yes. Motion carried. Building department,
I'll make a motion to approve checks 3307 to 3314 and 1 electronic for 8,206.
and 47 cents.
And 47 cents.
Second,
A second.
Okay, Christie, yes. Duncan,
Yes.
Berenger.
Yes.
Motion carried. Garbage fund,
Did you get anything from Joe?
yes.
Okay, because I didn't check my email and I
Okay.
told her to let you know. And I called her too. Okay,
I'll
cool.
make a motion to approve check 6064 for 15,708.35.
Second, Berenger,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
Christie, yes. Motion carried. Next is Parks Fund.
I'll make a motion to approve check 7075 to 7076, total of 7,340.29.
For support.
Okay, Duncan,
Yes.
Berenger.
Yes.
Christie, yes. Motion carried. Liquor control,
I'll make a motion to approve check 8072 for $50.
For support.
Christie, yes. Duncan,
Yes.
Berenger.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance officer report. Here's what I had Justin do for us. I told him to go back and pull up a report of what actually has been written complaints for. And what are open complaints. And so that's what he gave me. This is what stuff's open right now. I know that there's a Crawford Road one that's going to court here shortly. But with Roland resigning, kind of put us in a pickle where we're kind of winging it right now. I got Tracy covering as best he can. He's got his son Kyle doing inspections, who he's certified. Tracy's certified as a building official. And
How are we gonna pay him right now?
I told him keep track of his inspections and we're gonna have to work it out. I don't know how we're gonna.
Because he told me he wants to do like 75%, kind of like how the electrical and plumbing and all them do it. Of 75% of the permit.
But
fee.
here's the other question. If he's doing that, is he gonna get paid as an employee or contractor? Because we've got to work that out too.
We do gotta work that out.
Because right now, he's charging us for the hours he worked as the zoning and the ordinance. But we're paying him from the general fund because that's all general fund issues. But now if he wants to get, if we're paying him from building, we got to figure out how to separate those two. He's gonna have to have two separate checks if he continues to do both. Is he temporarily doing this or is he taking it over, or don't you know yet?
We gotta work it out. My plan is. In fact, I have that on the list, but we can talk about it right now.
I did see that.
Because
You're
it's
right.
it's not a big deal.
Okay.
It's just, my plan is that Tracy would become the building official. He would still do his zoning. We would have a building inspector and hire a different ordinance person. And then Tracy would do it all under his company and he would pay the inspector out of his company.
Oh, okay.
Mhm, mhm.
So what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He would get the money And then he would divide it up how he decides, kind of like they do in the assessing department right now.
So,
And then,
so basically, he's hiring the building inspector, not
Yes.
us.
yes,
Mhm.
we're gonna employ the company.
Right. Okay,
And then,
and then we'll just have to figure out how.
we just gotta figure out how to
how
divide
to
the
do the
pie.
money up, yeah.
And then we're going to change the way the fee schedule works. And we're gonna go, there's a state formula. I can't believe that we never have gone there before, but there's a whole state formula that is an accurate way to do it for figuring out the permits. And what we need to do is sit down and figure out what our costs are and how to put the factor on it, because there's a multiplying factor that the board would have to vote on.
Right, and just remember, though, we're not supposed to make money in the building
I
department.
know,
so
but we
that's-
need to cover the
Yeah.
expenses.
Yeah.
And we need to not make too much money,
Yeah.
too, you know, so,
Yeah.
because last
Because-
time we were making a lot of money
Yeah,
for.
because we,
No, and the good thing about this is you can tailor it. If the number's going up, then you can say, let's say the factor is 0.67, just for the heck of it, of whatever. It's a value thing. It goes off of value of what's being built. So let's say it's 0.67 that you multiply everything by to come up with the fees. And it turns out we're making too much, then we can cut it to 0.65 or
so
0.63 or something.
we're gonna have to figure that out and then have, if we agree on that, everything in BSNA has to change, because the costs
The
are.
fee
broken.
schedule.
Yeah, the fee schedule in there will be, because we'll have to have that, so Tracy will be figuring out the fees, not Justin, because Justin wouldn't know how to do that.
But he'll have to learn.
Well, I don't, would he need to, because
If
the
he's,
person who's doing the plan review has to kind of say,
How many
oh, how many
inspections?
inspections are needed, because Roland would say, this needs
right,
5
you're right, you're
inspections.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Justin wouldn't know.
Justin wouldn't know that right off.
And the other thing,
But I think that having a structure in place instead of all in somebody's head is a better idea.
well, Roland was doing $50 an inspection unless it was over a certain square footage, and it went up to 55, and commercial was a different cost. We did have a schedule. We had it written down. The other thing is Tracy going to charge by the job, by the hour, like he's charging us now, by the month, or you haven't worked that out?
We haven't worked it out
Okay.
yet because it's only been a couple of weeks and
Yeah,
I just wanted to get things covered so that people are taken care of right
Yeah.
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's working with me on it, but we do got to sit down and put some stuff on paper and then we'll have to come back to the board and get it okay.
Okay.
But that's where we're at with that. And so on the enforcement stuff, there's not been a lot of stuff happening on the enforcement, but we're trying to keep things open and keep things rolling so far.
Well, I know for guest choir, they did get a application fee. They're getting the permit process going and everything. So-
Yeah, well,
They're doing
what happened
double.
with that one is it turned out that they said they had their approval from the health department and they didn't. And they said they had
Surprise.
some other approval and they didn't. And so now they gotta go back and get those approvals.
Oh, really?
To-
Okay,
to
never
move
mind then.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I got an application
And,
fee.
and
Okay.
Justin does know, I heard you reminding Justin all the fees are doubled.
No, I did tell him
Oh,
that.
I heard somebody tell him, don't, because everything's double.
I've told him more than once,
Okay.
Yeah,
so.
because of the situation is, okay.
So I'm thinking, if we can get a dedicated ordinance person, I think that'll be a help.
I know Tracy did mention, I'm sure you mentioned it to you, the old corrections officer or something too.
Well,
Lady.
what you were saying to that Matt King might pan up too, and I did notice that quite a few cities use them, like you talked about before.
Right.
Did Tracy
They've got-
mention that? It was some lady that does, I don't know if she does
Yeah, she did.
almanac or
She
something.
decided not to do it.
Oh, she did, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it says police service contract with the city of Algonac townships of China, East China, Fort Gratiot, Port Huron, and school districts of Anchor Bay, Port Huron, and Memphis. So is that the one where they would go with the ordinance officer to the house when there was a complaint? I remember. you
I
talking
did talk
that.
about that before,
Long
but I
time
don't
ago.
know that that's what that is.
Oh, okay.
So next is assessor report. We still got the tribunal going on, and the other work is up to date and continuing on.
Christine had about 7 PREs that the state denied. That was yesterday.
What does that mean? Why would they?
Well,
deny?
because they probably are already getting one in
Oh,
another
that
house.
she gave them a PRE?
And well, they applied for a PRE, she sends it in, and then they denied it because they already
Okay,
got one.
because
in.
they already have another
Yeah.
house somewhere else. that claims it.
Exactly, and you can only have one,
You
yeah.
charge a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what PREs.
Principal residence exemption.
Okay.
It's if you live at your house.
It's a old homestead exemption. You remember what that was?
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
like touch your
They just call it
Yeah.
PRE
Some
now.
people have it on multiple houses and the state finally caught up to them, so.
Come on,
yeah,
Todd,
now
you're
they're in
supposed to
trouble.
know the codes. You don't have the code book?
They change it every little while just to
Mess
keep,
with
see if
us.
you're on your
Yeah.
toes.
Keep us up.
Well, I guess I'm paying attention to the meeting tonight. Shows I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, next is paid mileage. We talked last month about what's available, what's allowed for paid mileage and such. The long and short of it is, we have to make our own policy. So you want to do it now? You want to do it next?
Let's just
month, a
do it
different
now and
time?
get it over with, because,
I mean, is it pretty,
yeah.
Well, I just
what
said,
do you think?
What is your
of it?
suggestion?
my suggestion is we pay the shortest route according to Google Maps.
So the next question I have is, am I going to have to Google every time somebody turns in mileage?
No, there's 2 ways you can do that.
Okay,
You can have them turn in Google Maps with their thing.
and are we doing it like Paul turned his one ZBA meeting into me yesterday, and he put so many miles, and I made him put the address down where he went. We're doing mileage from his house to there and back.
Right, and that's another thing that you want to make in your motion is where is mileage from? Is it always from your house? Is it always from the
Well, we
hall?
talked about
Is it
that.
always from where?
Like when I had to go to a meeting in Marine City, I left from my house, so I shortened my mileage because I didn't have to drive as far.
But
But I don't want to take it from
if
the
you
hall.
pick the same place, wherever it's at, sometimes it's gonna be in your favor and sometimes it's
Right.
not.
Right.
So you have to do that, you have to pick,
Is
Well,
that what
you're
you
supposed to make
want?
a policy.
Are you? Okay, so,
okay, because the only
Because-
time I've ever done
because
my
I'll-
house is if it's an evening meeting, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
because if you don't specify, you're sooner or later gonna have someone here who always takes the longest. Oh, well, let's say I went from my house then, because that's another 4 miles. Oh, I'll say I went from the grocery store this time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you kind of got to pick a spot. So that's the 2 things that I see is that you decide what
Okay.
route you're gonna let them have. And what I would do is either have them turn in a Google. And I don't see what's the big deal on that, because there's usually only 3 or 4 times they went anywhere. And, right, it's not like somebody hands you a whole sheet of 50
right,
things on it.
and if they don't have computers, which we know a few.
And if they
people
don't,
Then
Then
they're
you
gonna have to.
then you could randomly do a couple on
Well, I
everybody's
was-
sheet and see
Yeah,
how.
I want to say,
accurate.
then they're gonna have to give their address to the address what they went to, so that I have
Yes.
some way
Oh,
to
of course.
verify it.
But we don't have to do it for the bank to Richmond, right? I have to do Google Maps every time and.
Well,
Because
if
we're
it's the
just-
same place,
Like,
Yeah,
it's the
we're
same
just
place,
doing a
like,
flat
5
10
times,
miles back
you
and
know.
forth to town, yeah.
That's all I do, yeah.
Yeah,
if it's the same place all the time, no.
Okay. To me, that's kind of, it's obvious.
yeah. Okay, so how do you want to make this motion?
I would say
Mileage paid the shortest route.
mileage paid
For Google Maps. or-
should be,
No, I don't want to say Google Maps, because everybody doesn't use Google Maps. They may use
So
different
per,
maps, just, but through GPS or something. I don't want to specify a certain thing, because that,
all right, so it should say that mileage will be paid the shortest route per computer mapping service.
Okay,
And person turning in miles should provide a map.
Or recommended to provide a map?
no, should.
Should, okay, should.
Should, because some of them don't have
Yeah.
computers.
okay.
Yeah,
Should provide them.
And then the other thing was,
So that's, the first.
and mileage is always measured from,
Was, the same.
Same
the
location.
same
How about
location.
and that way they have a choice of what location they want to use,
Okay.
if they're always same
the one
location.
thing just popped into my head. What about the building and electrical and plumbing? They don't ever, because they're going back and forth and they'll put it in. Bob will turn in a sheet. He's really accurate. He'll put 7.2 miles. But like, well, now it won't matter if we're paying Tracy under his company. We don't pay mileage because we already worked that out
Does
with him.
Bob do it from his house to the place?
Well, I sure hope not,
Yeah.
because he lives in Alpena.
That's what I was saying,
No,
yeah. So,
No, he
okay.
never does. I don't know if he's using it like from
So does
where he
do
used
it
to
from,
live.
You know.
Or he comes
okay.
and stays at his parents' house, so
Yeah.
maybe, and they live in the area too, they live in Casco. So maybe he's taking it from there, because there's no way I'm gonna get him to give me a Google map for all of those. And Tim, I haven't got mileage from Tim and I can't remember when.
Do we want to put the time frame of the mileage? Because we did make that motion. Do we want to add that
we-
into it?
We did
Yeah.
it, we did that before and it never worked. So
I
I don't know.
You know, to say you have
So you want to make,
so long to turn in your mileage, because,
mileage will be paid the shortest route per
but on
computer
the other
mapping
hand,
service.
CBA only did it one, you
Yeah.
know, that's not a month
And
later.
yeah, and person should turn in a map turn in a map. How do I want to put
Person
that?
turning in miles should provide a map.
Okay, should turn
With
in a
addresses.
map with mileage shown. And then we'll put mileage mileage will be from the same location. Or mileage will start at the same location. That sounds better.
All right, so I got mileage shall be paid, shortest route possible for computer mapping, and shall always originate from the same location. Person turning in miles should provide a map with address.
Okay, I
That
like
sound
that
good?
better. Can you just take a picture of that and email it to me? Because I like the wording of that better than the way I worded it. Or I'll make a copy.
So
of
now
that
is that
when I
gonna
get it.
work for,
It's not gonna work for Bob and Tim.
all right, so how do they do it then?
I don't know, because like I said, Tim hasn't turned mileage in probably a year. Bob turns his in.
Oh, should we say mileage should be turned in monthly?
But Phoebe just made the point that the ZBA wouldn't, because they only get paid once a year, so they've got to turn that in on a yearly basis.
Because, you know, they just did it and
Yeah.
it was how long ago? I don't know, because we did make that motion before. I don't remember what the time period was on it, but we did
We
have that
did say they
problem.
needed to turn it in monthly. And then I was just gonna hold it till December, but that never happened. Nobody turned those sheets in. I've had Abby make those sheets all up and not one person. Paul came and he said, I don't have any. And
Cause I turned one in, even if it's zero, I turn one in. I just wanna make sure we do it correctly.
you know,
So. How do,
How about the
The
people that get
inspector.
paid well, yeah, the inspectors should.
I told them that before, they don't.
Because I would say whoever's a monthly employee needs to turn it in monthly,
Yeah,
you know,
and-
maybe do it that
I
way.
actually
you
wrote a
know.
can we
letter.
say, can we say mileage over a year old will not be paid? How about
That sounds good.
Okay.
Because I wrote a letter once and had you sign it and I mailed it to them and they still didn't do it.
Cause I mean, that's given
Yeah.
pretty good benefit
Yeah.
there.
Well, and
Mileage,
part of the problem.
mileage over a year old shall not be paid.
Yeah, because here's the thing, that happened once when Pat was still here and Tim turned in like 2 years worth. And I don't know if you remember Phoebe, but like, Len was still here. He said, there's two problems with that, because now you're paying mileage from a different budget
Mhm.
and the cost is different.
Yep, yep.
Because
And that's
the-
what we
the-
made that motion.
yeah. So,
Okay,
So we'll just do over a year, will not be paid then.
and then, so how would you?
what I want,
How would you verify inspector miles?
I don't even know how we could.
Cause they can't just give you a sheet that says 10 miles, 5 miles, 16.
Well, Bob will put the permit number. And,
So you have an address,
no,
but you have
no,
to
he,
go dig it up yourself.
well, yeah, but it may not be an address. It may just be a permit number. And then I would have to look the permit number up to get the address. And then like Phoebe said, we're not sure where I think he's probably doing it from his parents, because I've never seen anything more than, 17 miles maybe.
So we gotta try and get them
gotta-
to get in line with
Yeah,
putting some accurate
yeah.
information together.
So maybe you just ask Bob to add an address, he's on it anyways, and Tim is just our only problem. really,
Yeah.
is Tim.
But like I said, I can't even remember the last time Tim turned in mileage. It's gotta be over a year ago. And then, so what I think I could do is if we make this motion, we approve it, I'll write a little letter, I'll send it to them, say, at the board meeting, we made this motion and you'll have to turn your mileage in monthly. We'll need the permit number and address and your origination address. Or something. So we
Okay,
could-
something,
Yeah,
you
something.
know,
I can write something
I mean,
up that.
I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but there should be some kind of
Well,
structure.
and like I said, that thing,
You know.
and we had this issue before because they're turning stuff in so late and there's no way to verify some of the stuff. At one time, Tim went to some workshop and he didn't even have a receipt for anything. And,
Yeah, see, that's kind of
So-
stuff that don't fly.
Do we want to just say monthly, people that get paid monthly need to turn in their mileage?
monthly
Monthly.
payroll,
Yeah, monthly payroll, employees need to turn in mileage each month.
Right. So,
Do you have a monthly, do you have a form that you can give them to fill out, or do they make their own?
We have a mileage form, but I thought,
and
but you make your own.
yeah, but
I think Mike
maybe,
was gonna redo it.
maybe Mike should redo it where it has the more information on it.
Cause I know he was gonna write the address of the bank for me on top, like, so I wouldn't have to write it every time. So he was gonna write, this bank, it's this address,
That's not a bad idea, put right on your form, bank, post office, or whatever your.
Yeah,
main-
that's what he
main
said, yeah.
three things or whatever.
That's why I'm like,
that
I'm not
you
gonna write the
go
address
to.
every time. So he's like, I'll just print it
Cause
out
like now I
there, you
don't
know?
have much, but like if there's an election, I go to the post office every day because I have to take those into the post office.
All right, so here's what I got. You want to put something else on there about monthly, you said?
I think we should put monthly payroll employees need to turn in their mileage. You want to say monthly, but I think I need a date because if I do the paychecks on the 1st and they haven't turned their miles in. By the first,
Monthly.
By the first business day,
no, by the
No.
1st of the
Monthly
month.
paid
oh, it's on a
employees.
Sunday.
Yeah, but it doesn't
so,
matter.
okay. Let's
They
take one.
can turn it in on Sunday. I mean, if they're done working on Friday, they could email it to me on Friday.
I mean, you could, yeah, I mean, if you want
Or
to.
Tim can fax it, because I don't know if he has it.
Bruce, yes. 1 second.
How do we want to write that? Turn in monthly or turn in by 1st of the. how's it?
Okay. All right, monthly paid employees shall turn in miles monthly by 1st of new month. You good with that?
Yep.
All right, who was asking what?
Bruce, can we eliminate all this homework you're gonna do by looking up how short it is from this road to this road? By just paying them a straight fee, they'll make out sometimes and they won't make out other times, because they'll just, for each run, they'll make a certain rate. I mean, a certain rate, I mean, a certain price, like say you pay every run you do $20, $15, $10, whatever you guys decide. And then you won't have to look up to Google and how far they went and do all this stuff.
So you're thinking like a stipend?
No.
You know?
I don't,
Yeah.
I don't like that, I don't like that plan at all.
I don't either. I don't either because
I mean, I was working, doing emergency calls and I'd get a straight rate for what my call was, no matter where it was.
Okay, yes,
Just two thoughts, so like you guys wanna make the starting point the same across the board. What if?
no, not across the board.
Okay,
Each person has their own starting point.
correct. So depending on where they're going though, it might be shorter for them to leave from their home rather than leaving from the township.
Right,
Right.
and it might be longer for them to leave on a different day.
So can you just say destination will be the shortest distance to wherever you're going? I mean, because then they can just decide either home, maybe they.
But on the other hand,
You're leaving it
sometimes,
open for cheating, and I hate to put it
yeah,
like
cause
that.
I've gone
You
to
are.
like a Marysville meeting from here, you know, but it's closer from my house, you know, what I mean, but but that means at 12 and I work here for a couple hours, I leave and go to the meeting,
well,
you
yeah,
know what I
see,
mean?
and I do that. If
So,
I leave from
yeah.
here, I count the mileage from
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
But if I leave from my house, like mine.
But in the
is a-
evening, you know, if there's an evening meeting, I used to put my house, you know, cause I'm
So
like
that's
here,
shorter.
obviously, you know, so
You would.
But you're only a mile away, so there's not a big deal there.
it's like 3. I'm
But like,
such a long ride to my.
But like the other people are basically the people on the ZBA, they're never gonna leave from here.
Right.
Yeah, they're always gonna leave.
They're always gonna be going from their house. Basically, it's just us.
and for instance, sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm at home, sometimes I'm in Memphis. I just always write it from home. So
Okay.
sometimes if I'm going to Port Huron and I'm leaving from Memphis, I'm losing 10 miles, but
Yeah.
you know, if I'm going that way, I'm making 10 miles. I don't know.
And my second kind of, and I think you guys know what you're talking about, so I see the logic there, but my second question / comment was, how long is this motion now?
Oh, I'm gonna read it
Well,
right now.
it's a paragraph.
That's what I'm saying.
No, that's,
But if you're creating policy, can you guys just say, we make a motion for this policy, but you have to specify it, a motion?
You have to
Yeah, we
spell it
have
out.
to. We have
All right,
to.
so
Okay.
the motion,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a copy of that.
this is how I got the
You gotta
motion
think
to
of
read.
everything.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Monthly paid employees shall turn in miles monthly by the first of the new month. Mileage shall be paid the shortest route possible per computer mapping and shall always originate from the same location. Person turning in miles should provide a map with addresses. Mileage over 1 year old will not be paid.
That sounds good. I'll make that motion.
You'll make that
What
motion?
you just said.
I'll second.
We gotta cover every loophole, Chris.
Okay. Christie, yes. Duncan?
Yes.
Berenger?
Yes.
Carried. Okay. Timekeeping is the next one we talked about. There's not a lot to it. There's several pages here, but what they're basically saying is you can go to the nearest 15 minutes. Anything after 7.5 minutes will go to the next 15.
Yeah, so if you punch in at 9:08, it's really 9:15.
It's really
If you punch in at
9:15.
9:06, it's 9:05.
9:05.
And I talked with Mike because he worked for Kroger and CVS, and that's the same way they did it, the 7-minute
Okay,
thing.
but I
And I was
Yeah.
thinking about that too later. I'm like, but sometimes you do lose, you know.
But I
you
looked
do,
it up
you
to
know.
see what the
You do,
rules
yeah.
are, so we don't get
Yeah,
in trouble for not
Yeah,
paying
because
somebody
Mike
or
looked it
something.
up too, and it's things like, Justin came in late the other day, but he got caught by the train. Well, he has no control over the train and he punched in at 9:02, so you can't
As
penalize.
long as it wasn't an 8-minute train.
And there have been some of those. So are we gonna make a motion? I'll make a motion that we will keep time with the 7 minutes that we've been using.
So we're gonna keep time to the nearest 15. Is what
Yeah.
it's gonna be, right?
Yep.
Question,
Yes,
what about Addison losing that hour pay?
Yeah, what about that hour of pay that we took away from her? Should she get that back? Because that was the 7-minute thing we did, we took away from her.
I don't really know.
You just read it 7 minutes.
No, I know what I just read, but what, I mean, I wasn't really involved in that discussion when it was happening. I don't understand why they cut her an hour.
They
anyway.
said because she punched in like 9:05 and I counted it as 9. And so they said there were some of those that they.
Oh, so it fell within
Yeah,
what we're
it
talking
fell
about?
within the time frame.
Then give her the hour back.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay,
All right, so is there a second on this?
A second.
Okay, Duncan,
I'm sorry, but I'm restoring that hour, don't you have to make a motion?
no, I think I can just pay her, can I, Bruce?
You made a
Okay.
motion to take it away.
I'll make a motion to pay Addison.
Let's finish
the
this.
back.
Let's
Okay,
finish
let's
this.
finish
Finish
this
this
one.
one. Yeah, Duncan, you said?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, no, Bruce
so
said,
Duncan,
Oh, yes.
Berenger,
yes,
Christie, yes.
and then you're gonna make a motion to,
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
What we
we already did.
already did
So
it.
we don't do that after? Okay.
No, she did the roll call.
No.
He did the roll call.
We did roll call.
Now we're gonna,
I'm gonna say no right after I say yes.
So you're making,
A
let me see,
motion.
Duncan,
to pay Addison the 1 hour.
1 hour back.
wait,
Yeah.
it's a motion to restore 1 hour to deputy clerk
Do you want like it just to be on her?
per previous motion that just passed.
Okay, yep. Did you just want to put it like on her next page?
Well,
What do you
I
wanna
have
do?
to because we've already approved
Okay,
that.
so you
check.
want to just do it on
Yeah,
her
it's
next,
gonna have to
so it'll
be.
be on her next.
All right,
pay
is there a
period.
second?
Okay.
I support,
Berenger,
yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
Christie, yes. All right, that one's passed. Next. St. Clair County Road Commission, local road funding assistance. We got our official notice from the road commission that they accepted our offer about doing the local road funding next year on a culvert on Frith Road.
So this,
Estimated cost-
FYI?
so this is just an FYI that we.
No, no.
approved?
Oh, no.
Oh, we have to,
We have to accept it.
oh, yeah,
and sign it.
okay.
Okay. I'd like
So-
to make a motion to accept the 2022 local road funding assistance program agreement for Frith Road, a culvert, C-17.
Having a hard time reading this.
Not right. So they're gonna do the work next year? Oh, yeah, for 2022, okay. So that they'll bill us then in 2022, most likely?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a $60,000 total cost.
For 60,000.
Is there a second on that?
I'll support,
Christie, yes. Duncan,
Yes.
Berenger,
yes.
carried. All right, here, sign this.
It's today, 11/9.
All right, I'll send that in. All right, next, stamps versus machine.
I'm just, I mentioned before when we got the stamp machine, if I could order stamps instead of doing it through the machine. And if you've used the machine, it's not fast at all using it. And then it thinks for 20 seconds because that's
Yeah, I
reload
noticed.
and clean it and boo, boo, boo. And, I didn't know if it was just for money wise or whatever. So I tried to show, with the ink cartridge, and Mike printed out a ink cartridge of what it yields. So I did even like the highest amount that it would yield, so no matter what, we're not going to be saving money for me to do the stamps for the taxes like that, and on top of it, it's very inconvenient. And I even told the assessor that because he does the assessing notices, and he was like, really? He's like, it's not meant for bulk, to do the stamp machine, and it's one at a time. It's not like you put a bunch in, you put one in,
Mhm.
so.
So you would like
But
to,
you
just
don't
would
put-
like to
you
order-
don't put a bunch in by hand either.
I can, yeah, I know. but-
actually stamping them by hand, I think you're faster than that machine.
Oh, no, for sure.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be true. It may be true, but it shouldn't. be true.
And I was even gonna video camera, like, okay, this is me doing this in comparison to 10, and that machine is like,
All right, let's do that. Let's get a movie.
and I'm just, I know, right? I was seriously thinking, I'm like, I'm gonna.
We'll do that tomorrow.
Race against me and Angie about doing 10
Yeah.
stamps, so.
Well, I really,
Well, they said,
my one beef about that machine is we need to lower it. I
yeah,
can't
why is
see
it up
it.
on the file
That's what I
cabinet?
said. Well, her and Mike are taller than me
I don't know what
and
you're
they can
talking
see. So the one day I had one and I can't even
We'll
see.
give her a stool.
And so Phoebe, yeah. that's
does
Mike
need to
was-
go
we'll get a
somewhere
stool.
else.
It is
I
very,
think if we put a
yeah.
little table, like we're right by your office door, that little cubby right there next to the file cabinets, if we put a little table there.
Yeah, somewhere, just
Even
somewhere
if we
it's
took
better.
even if we took the thing that we've got the
It's
paper,
Wi-Fi
thing, the
anyhow,
copy
right?
paper.
It's Wi-Fi anyhow.
Yeah. And if we took that where the
Mhm.
copy
But it
paper
needs
is
to be
and
plugged
just,
in, obviously.
we could just
I
move
don't
it
know
down.
if it has to have a second cord. Does it have a
Yeah.
second?
I don't know, but I think we
know.
do,
I don't
because I
remember.
can't,
Is it?
What?
I don't know.
It's
if it-
Wi-Fi.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had nothing to do with.
I
when it
just
was
wish we
set up
shopped
somewhere.
around a little bit more, because even Mike, like, he despises Pitney Bowes now. I don't know if you've heard him talk about it. It's like
Well,
the
he says
worst
you called them,
company
yeah.
in the world, apparently.
The first bill they sent, they put sales tax on, and I said to him, we're not supposed to pay sales tax. So he called and they said, oh, well, you have to send us the paperwork. So I made him a copy of our tax exempt thing. I showed him, he scanned it in and sent it to them. And they said, oh, well, we don't know if we can do anything about it this bill, but we will on the next bill. So we got the next bill already. And the sales tax is on there again. And so he called them. And then there's another fee, like what insurance now
Yeah,
they
that's gotta
put on
come-
there.
That $27, that's
Yeah.
gotta come off.
It's
And it's
ridiculous.
not even he called and called and called and
Yeah.
called and
And then he
called.
said,
It's
to
like
them, because I was listening.
It's
he-
horrible.
He said, okay, you got the tax exempt form. I sent that to you like 3 months ago or 2 months ago, whenever he did it. And he said, can you send us a new bill? And the guy said, no, just take it off. And he goes, well, I have to have something in writing to show them that
To
we
even
don't.
get a copy
And the guy
of the
just wrote,
bill.
but the
we
guy just
couldn't even-
wrote, yeah, the guy
Yeah.
I'll
just
look
wrote a
into
little
this.
email.
It's just not a very,
I'll look into
I'm
this.
surprised they just don't have
That's
good
not right.
customer
That's
service.
not right. They can't make all them promises about how great it is and how
Yeah,
fast
the
it is
customer service is
and all that.
terrible.
And
And I wish we knew that. I wish I shopped around a little bit and I just went off of Sturmer's thing. you
there's
know,
other
and
machines.
That's what
I mean,
we're like, if you just talk to Mike about it, he'll tell you.
Maybe
all
should have
about
went
it.
with the Quadient machine, you
Something.
know?
I don't know.
Some
There's
I
other
didn't-
machines.
Yeah.
But can I make a motion that we let Phoebe buy stamps to do her taxes?
You can make any motion you want.
Okay, I'll make a motion to have treasurer buy stamps.
I'm so relieved.
How many stamps?
1,600.
For the winter taxes, which will be in 2 weeks.
I'll second the motion.
Right, Berenger,
Yes,
Duncan, Christie, no. Motion carried. LCC,
So I called liquor control a couple more times. And I pretty much, I said, I said, why don't you have a procedure of if we decided to opt out. And they could not really give me an answer, so they gave me the form, a new form, that if we decide to opt out, we can check mark it and send it to them. But I just kept going back and forth between two people, and they kept saying, ask your mother, ask your father, ask your mother, you know, like going
Yeah.
back and forth, like, there was no, it was, and they said, well, who did it before? And I said, well, I called the county, and they said that they don't do it, the state does it. And then she says, well, you need to call finances and see where the checks have been sent to before they did it for us, before we were receiving money. I called her and she's like, oh, that's too much work for me to do, to look back. She said, you'd have to FOIA it. And I'm like, really? You can't tell me who did it? It's very, so then she sent this form, the same form that we get.
You don't want to
And-
turn it over to them.
But here's what
I
it,
don't know.
but here's what it
But
says
the
here.
problem is, they keep saying, well, you don't, when we signed this, they said, we do not meet that criteria of being able to fill those shoes yet. And I think we haven't had that problem because we're rural, we don't have, like, you know, licenses coming in left and
Yeah.
right, you know, we don't have
It's,
that.
but
you
it says
know?
here, where a police department or full-time ordinance enforcement is not maintained, then to the counties, that has to be sent to the counties to be credited to the sheriff's department in which the license is located. 55% of the amount of the proceeds of the retailer's license fees collected go to the sheriff's department. And even down here, it says none of these apply. What, maintain a full
'Cause we
police,
used to do the
maintain
employee
a
or
full,
public officer.
yeah.
Yeah.
but we don't have an employee or public officer really, that we hired Wayne, but that's, and then it says none of these, none of the above, this option should be selected if no, you have no other choices. And it says it's sent to the county, but the county is telling Phoebe, no.
But Wayne is the constable.
He's a constable in Casco. He's not a constable here,
Well, I mean, if it's all.
because that's an elected position. He was,
What?
yeah, he was elected as constable in
Yeah,
Casco.
'cause
He was on the ballot.
You're right.
He was on the
you're
ballot.
right. Yeah.
And that's not an issue. We can have an employee. My issue is we're not getting these inspections done. We went through COVID where they didn't get done. Then Roland did some of them because when Wayne had his foot cut off, Roland started doing them. But then Roland stopped and then nobody did it. And then Wayne's done maybe 2 months. Again, he hasn't turned in last month's. He didn't turn October's in or November's, if he did November. And I told him we won't pay him unless I get those sheets. I have to file those. Although as Phoebe said, the way they're run that operation, I'll probably never get audited. But if we did, I have to have that binder saying, yeah, here's the inspection sheets. This is what he inspected. He signed the bar, you know, the owner of the bar signs that, yes, he got this form. I have none of that. And that's my concern. I don't want us to be liable for something that we're having a real rough time getting Wayne to cooperate to do. I know we don't pay him very much, but we don't get much from the state. We get very little. So we were just trying to think of a way to shed ourselves of the whole liability issue of it. You know, like we're not doing the inspections. They could stop sending us the money because technically we're not doing what they're giving us the money for.
And that's what she kept telling us too.
Yeah.
She kept telling me, well, are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing fingerprints? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And I'm like, no, I said, but we've never had a situation where we're like, oh, we can't do that, you know,
Yeah.
because we're a rural
Yeah,
town. you
the
know,
only time that
township.
it might now come into play is if this wine guy ever gets off the
Mhm.
ground. But I don't know what the answer is, but or else you maybe should
I was
call
like, 'cause I
Wayne.
can get phone numbers if anybody wants to
I
call
mean,
them.
or maybe you
you
can
know,
call Wayne
'cause
and light a fire under him, because Phoebe and I have both tried it, and we're not very
Yeah,
successful.
Wayne's not,
No.
it's obviously he doesn't need the money.
I
or
called him 2
something.
weeks ago and said, I've got your timesheet, but I'm not paying you till I get the actual forms.
Right.
And if he's mailing the ones to the state, that, because I always mail them to the state. So I'm hoping he's mailing them to the state. And I said to him, well, if you're sticking that one in the envelope to the state, why don't you stick one in the other copies that I'm supposed to have in an envelope and mail those to me?
Yeah,
And then I'd have them for my binder.
all right, well, yeah, give me a copy of that and that'll remind me to deal with it, all right?
Okay. You have a copy, Phoebe?
Yeah, I have a copy and I can give you my special phone numbers of my best friends.
And that's somebody at the state I can talk to?
Yeah, she does the finances. And she'll tell you that too. I've only worked here 2 years and I only do the money part. I only send the checks.
That's the important job.
Guard, And Barb's kind of like Kathy. She just talks and talks and talks, and then she, and then she keeps saying the same thing and she won't, it's kind of weird talking to her, so. And she, I don't know.
So I'll just put down.
Because how do we know that the state would even do any inspections?
You can ask them and see if you can get a straight answer,
All right.
so.
All right. All right, so next is new business, building inspector. We've already discussed that situation. So we'll go right to trash bids. So we got the Marcotte bid. Do you guys understand the Marcotte plan? Basically $14.60 a week. What are we paying right now?
Wait, I can find the bill right here.
I don't even
Right
remember
there.
what it is now, 'cause I didn't-
It's,
old one. 1331 divided by,
I don't have my phone. Do 15,
hold on, I got my
Okay.
calculator going. Okay, so
15,439 and 60 cents. Divided by 1331.
$11.60.
So, wow, that's $3 a month cheaper for every house.
And do you have the waste management one? Did you?
So what are trash only with township paying the landfill? Well,
Oh.
that's already more than we're paying.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
remember
wow.
when they brought it to us,
We
because they're
don't
like,
want
hey, do you
two
want to
bills.
separate it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Because they wanted us to do that way back. I remember I think I had the that
And here-
sheet that the landfill guy
And here,
gave me.
if we want to do waste, yard waste and recycling, it's $27.10 per house times 12 months. That's a lot more money than the people are paying now.
Todd will pay it.
No, I don't agree with that.
No, I don't have any complaints with waste management, I'll tell you that. And then they're gonna do a cost of living increase for years 2 and 3 of 2.5%. That's a lot. And I think waste management's done pretty darn good.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I am too.
So what are we paying right now, you said?
1160, she said.
11.60 and what's 4%?
I kind of would like to go grab my sheet. Can I go grab my sheet?
Yeah, go grab your
Just
sheet.
of the-
Did you get, I don't have a waste management one. Did you get a?
Yeah.
bid?
700 tires in my front yard, it's got him.
I just got this. Jill finally got back with me, so.
Well, I know yesterday
she
she
didn't-
said she still.
So
didn't.
basically what she's just saying here is the price and saying the rest of the contract will remain the same.
So the
so-
two large items,
We don't have to argue all that. again.
yeah.
We would also require an update stop count on a semi-annual basis, a spring roll-off, as well as a cemetery roll-off.
But waste management, I think, Phoebe, did you say waste management goes and dumps the cemetery one once a month for us?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we've had that.
Saying
come up
that
there.
free.
And the scout camp,
Yeah, we got for free.
So how does the landfill charge?
I don't remember.
Wait,
I remember we
from-
presented it way back.
What?
Oh, they wait.
Well, I know, I
Yeah.
think
All right,
it
but there's gotta be a monthly charge. I mean,
I think it was per weight or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't remember. I remember him giving us a whole spiel and I talked to him a
is that the
while.
dumping fee that they're
Yeah.
talking about? So
Yes.
it's $30 a ton or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he wanted, that's when I think we even went to a presentation, like, for the,
And,
at
all
this
right,
landfill. I
So
think you
think
went
about
to,
this.
yeah.
We're based on 2 tons per year per household.
yeah,
So
60.
1331
times 2,
times 2,
that's 2,662
all right,
divided
times 30.
times 30. Where's your phone, Phoebe? 2,662.
I think I left it in the office.
Oh, I
Times 30. That's probably, I'm gonna say it's around 35,000 bucks.
2,662 times 30 is 0, 6, 18, 19. That's 79,000.
Oh, can't be.
79,000.
Really? Is it
Yeah.
that much?
Yeah,
Almost 80.
almost.
All right,
80,000.
80,000 a year extra
Yeah,
added on.
on top
So
of the
divide that by 12.
80,000 divided by 12. Oh, she's got
66.55.
All right.
66.
And then divide it by 1331.
Divide that by 1331.
Because that's how much we're gonna split per bill.
$5.
So be
$5?
Yeah,
So
Be
that,
5 on top of that.
so that would be like almost $17 a month.
yeah. And here's the other thing, this spring cleanup roll-off, as well as cemetery cleanup. I don't know what the other spring cleanup roll-off, where they're talking about putting it at no cost. And the scout camp, we don't care if they're giving them a dumpster for free. That's not us.
Hey, now.
That's
The
not us.
scouts, man.
But it's kind of like when we used to get the one at the Sportsman's Club, and then Phoebe goes, well, the only people using it are the people at the Sportsman's Club. And I thought, yeah, that is true, because nobody else
And
knew
once again,
about
this
it.
was all before we had trash,
Yeah,
you know, why
yeah.
they did that, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, I know, because we
Yeah.
took things there too,
Yeah.
and we couldn't
Do
take
their
it
big cleanup
when we
day
had
and
our
everything, yeah.
individual guys. My feeling is we should just stay with waste management.
And you have,
Do you see the monthly fuel charge on you? How they,
It's creeping. It's gonna, we're gonna be paying half of our,
so they're basing it off of 6,000 gallons of diesel fuel. And then depending on what the gas price is, you can go right across and see what you're gonna pay extra that month.
who's this from, Marquette?
Markup, yeah.
Oh. So like, what's diesel right now?
Right now, $3.59.
So 359. So what does that mean?
So that means
We're gonna pay $295.
$295 a
And
month
what did we
for
pay?
fuel surcharge.
Yeah. And what did we pay this time? I don't remember. No, I can't find it. I had
You
it.
just paid it, right?
Yeah, but it won't, here. We paid $242.
Okay, so it looks like it's about in the same ballpark on that,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So that's a nice rule of thumb thing to,
I would think I should make a copy of that.
that's a nice rule of thumb thing.
Yeah.
For figuring out. I was just wondering about how they figured that out too.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a copy of the waste management, but if you're saying everything is
But it's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's like, because it wasn't 349, it wasn't 359
Yeah.
last month, it was
Yeah.
330 something.
Yeah. Well,
So would each month or each year be 4%?
Yes, 4% per year.
per year?
So
Okay.
what's 1160 right now
Mhm.
times
4%.
1.04, try
I
that.
don't have my phone.
You don't have your
Times
phone.
left it in the
0.0
office.
times 0.04.
I only have money.
$11.60 times 4%.
$4.64.
So it'd be
Four-
1206.
Yeah. They're still cheaper than this Marcotte.
Oh, 82, 11.60.
Yeah, 1160.
12.06.
And then each time we had it go up 20 cents in the past per year.
And if you don't have a problem with someone, that means something too.
So it's gonna go up 46 cents the first year, probably 50 cents the next year,
Okay, so the higher increase then.
because it's gonna be 4% every time.
Do they want a 5-year contract again? Or? And what about I know you had a problem last time, you know, about. You know, as long as we go off our old contract, and I don't know what price you wanna do for the fuel surcharge, didn't we have a,
Yeah,
Minimum or
it's starting
something, yeah.
at 289 again.
oh, that's what she said, 289 again, okay.
So anything over if it's less than 289, which that's not gonna happen,
No.
Yeah,
then there would be no fuel
Yeah.
surcharge.
Well, my feeling is we stick with waste management.
I'm just surprised it's such a big increase per year. Cause like, we only did 20 cents per year in the last contract, you know.
And what did you say? It's 40 cents this time?
46 cents the first year.
That's still cheaper than that Mark.
Yeah, it is cheaper, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of don't have any options.
So
We
then
can't
it's
say,
1206 that this year.
and then it would be 48 cents the next year. So then that would be 12.52.
You know, this contract, this 5-year compared to the other one, they were pretty close too. So I mean, I think this
12.54.
5 years, we got pretty lucky too with how good of a deal it was,
Just
you
know
know.
inflation is part of our life right now.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah.
getting anything the same. Everything's going up. When you pay the same for a pound of bacon as you do for a pound of steak, you know you're in trouble. Everything's gonna go up.
I don't know, I'm just gonna be locked in for a 5-year, you know, without like, you know, just figuring out details and stuff like that,
So-
you know. At least to kind of, you know, work them out, you know, because it seems like we're, you know, obviously we're down to the nitty gritty right now because we have to
Right.
approve something.
We
you
have to
know.
approve something,
Yeah,
but
at
we can
least-
approve a 1 year
yeah.
if you want.
So I have the numbers here for all 5 years.
What percent would you be okay with? If I can get them down to 3%, would you go with a longer contract?
You know, I would go with a longer contract if we could just fight with them a little bit, you know what I mean? Because I know that's what you said last time, we just want to fight to get some cheaper as much
And
as
we
we
did it
can.
too, if we
Yeah,
got it.
So
know,
do you want
so-
me to make a
Yeah.
motion to approve the waste management contract? Whatever you negotiate, what the negotiation you can get.
But it has to be negotiated for, the first year has to be negotiated fast, so I mean, or we can
Yeah.
go with 1 year and then say, and if you negotiate by
I think
next
it'd be-
month, we'll.
It'd be
you know.
harder it would be harder, I think, though, to say we're gonna accept the 4% and then ask you to negotiate lower. I feel like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
gonna say, well, you were okay with it this
Well,
year.
it's the initial first year, because if you're locked in for 5 years, it's kind of like a CD too, you're kind of locked in for that amount, you know.
I
you
know, I
don't
kinda
the
like that
economy's
idea.
gonna
I do,
go,
I-
you know.
I kind of like that idea if we make a motion that we try to negotiate a lower rate for a longer term contract,
Exactly.
or we only accept a 1 year
Yeah,
contract.
and if you have it by next month or, you know, in 6 months, whatever, you know, so, but yeah, but at least to kind of, I mean, if they want our business, you know, usually they'll work with us a little bit.
Well, they gotta expect to get beat up a little bit.
Yeah.
Negotiate for a lower rate for extended for 5 years or
Yeah,
Yeah, because I'd like to do a 5 year, because I want to look at this every year too,
I
you
know-
know,
I
I'd
know
like to
you
get
don't.
it, you know, do the 5
negotiate
year.
for a
but-
lower rate for supervisor
And for Jill to answer calls more.
will negotiate for a lower rate for 5 years or accept a 1 year contract. Does that sound right? Did you figure?
so
out-
motion to negotiate lower rate for 5 year contract or accept current rate at 1 year contract. You good with that? And whose motion was that?
That was me.
Second,
I'll second.
Christie, yes, Duncan,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
okay. Cool.
Have you
I'll get
got,
on my boxing gloves in the morning.
oh, yeah, you got, that's what I was just gonna ask
Yeah,
you.
it's
Have
gonna be
you
the
got-
91 cents plus that one, so, yeah, plus that fee.
So you got it figured out?
Yep, yep, it's 91 cents plus the fee that we just decided on, so, yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna plan on that fee unless I call you shortly, if we make a deal quickly.
Yep,
But
yeah, I'll be printing by like the last week and a half
But it's-
taxes.
as hard as it
or
is
less
for
than-
her to call me back. you
I know, as I'm like, she's the only one I use urgent for my email, you know, like the red thing, like, Jill, urgent. I usually don't use that, but with her I do.
All Roundabout lighting agreement. So this caught me by surprise. I didn't know,
Yeah,
we have to put 4 lights in around that roundabout.
Good to know.
Lights like lighted stop signs or
No,
yield
like-
signs?
Like street lights.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, at each little piece of the 4 roundabout
Wow.
thing, we have to put 4 lights in there. And
We're
they
gonna,
say they'll pay for putting them in and pay for the lights and
and we
all
just
that.
pay for the
And we
electricity.
gotta pay for the electricity.
We're gonna
but-
have to really bump up the budget because we're
Yeah.
paying $350 right now
Yeah, with that
with
one extra.
park and ride.
Yeah, yep.
which really is nice though, because when I go by, I see it lit up. I think, oh, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
so
like-
much better.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't regret that at all.
No,
That's worth
no,
it.
that
You don't
was-
want people
Being,
fumbling
yeah.
around in the dark at a park and
Yeah.
ride.
Mhm.
And now it's dark at 5:15. You, even if you're coming home from work, you're coming home
Well,
in the
we
dark.
need them to see to not drive over the center of the roundabouts, as Angie
True.
would say.
True. Although
So-
that one isn't as bad as the one up by going toward my son's house.
Oh.
That one is horrible. They
So what
put
do we
like
need to-
rumble strips in it, so
Oh,
bad.
really?
Yeah,
So what do we need to do for
we
this?
just have to make a motion to,
So it looks like the total estimated cost, including labor and materials, is $4,400. But then there's a credit, and then the cost of $2,500 is to be covered by St. Clair County Road Commission. So we're gonna end up at 0, except we're gonna pay the monthly fee.
How much did it go up? Do you remember from the
Um,
last light?
I
How
think.
much did what go up? The
Our
electric?
electric,
one-
for our streetlights, when
Wasn't it
that,
like one up $100 maybe?
it
Maybe?
used to be in the
Like
200s,
230s,
but now
yeah.
it's 350.
Hey,
I was
we're a
gonna
big,
say.
we're a big metropolis
Yeah.
now. We gotta have lights.
So we have to really, so that's gonna be, that's gonna be
You'll have to-
I
high.
don't like lights.
What's for safety?
It's
though?
good.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's good to have lights at
It's good to have
intersections, for sure.
safety, you know.
I like lights at intersections.
Yeah, sometimes you need them, just like the park and ride. That was the best.
You need them in
idea.
that roundabout, you need them. You can't see the thing.
That's what I just said. I'm like, they're gonna be driving over the center and yeah.
So I guess the motion would be, do you want me to sign this or not?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to have you sign the purchase agreement, or is that?
It's a, nope, a master agreement
Master
for
agreement.
municipal lighting.
I can't see the thing. It's too dark.
You almost hit me.
Yeah, second promotion.
Okay,
I was standing in the middle of the roundabout.
master agreement for roundabout lighting.
So we'll probably do this fairly soon then,
Yeah, in fact, he's already called me and said, are you signing it or what?
really, okay. So we'll have to do some budget
So when
adjustments.
when you sign all those, like the signed for the other couple things, can you give me copies so I can file them?
Of
Like the
this
waste
stuff?
management and that one, yeah, 'cause I like, yeah, okay.
All right, Berenger,
Yes,
Duncan,
Yes,
Christie, yes. Fire run summary.
is there any close houses? Isn't there a house like right there too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
where,
like, isn't there one right here? I'm just thinking for the roundabout, sorry, you know.
that's like an empty field and there's a house
Okay.
further back, that, and then
Yeah,
that,
that's pretty
that
far
one.
off the road.
yeah, that one's New Great, that's an empty field and that's,
And
Superior.
that's up here, okay, cause I thought I remember seeing a driveway kind of, oh, but it goes
It
further
goes
back,
back.
okay, I was just thinking for.
And I'd frankly like to see that one building tore down.
Oh, I
Yes.
know. I see somebody, that was one of the blight complaints.
It's a little off topic. Is there a reason that the entrance on Palms is so
Yes,
squirrely?
yep.
Well, as long as there's a reason.
I called them. I called them and complained about it.
Okay.
I did. I said, what are you guys drunk when you did this or what? And he said, no, we purposely made it like that to make people slow down enough. Cause we found on other roundabouts that people are jumping them.
Well, sure. I mean,
And
they're
so
jumping
now,
these,
he said now with the new design, people have to slow down. And I said, whatever.
Well,
I didn't want a roundabout anyhow.
Put a tire repair station somewhere, and that'll say-
Exactly, sitting right
Yeah, you see all the marks on the
Maybe
curb?
they
Mark?
knock down that gray building and put a tire repair
Yeah,
there.
there we go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so fire summary is just on FYI.
Okay.
I wanted, I wanted Michael to do a rundown of what he's done so far on the fire runs and what kind of progress he's making toward getting any return for our, paying for our fire department.
Well,
And
I did look up and he's making a little progress. I did look up to see, like when Abby was doing it, it really pays to have somebody keep doing it. Because in the 3 years that I looked up, she collected like $50,000. So
yep, and so if he keeps going on this,
it's his life's work.
that would be a good
He's on a
thing.
mission.
He does
gets
love
very-
it.
He gets very excited when a check comes. He came and shook one at me this morning.
He does
Yes.
love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is our COVID relief, St. Clair County COVID relief money. So here's the thing, I don't know if anybody's gotten any information on this or not, but I got a call from David Rushing. And he told me that St. Clair County has been given $5 million to distribute to the municipalities. And that our cut, if we spend it correctly, because it's predicated on spending it correctly, no company chopper or nothing, you know. Right. It would be about $2,200 per person of everybody in the township. So I put together a resolution. If you're interested in putting the money this way, we've already okayed 2 culverts to get done next year. One of them has a total cost of $60,000. The other one has a total cost of $55,000. So there's like $55,000 or $60,000 of that money spent, because it's going to equal out around $84,000 that we're going to get. And then I wrote that any leftover money will be spent on other ditching projects, because you have to spell out what you're doing with that money.
Oh, it has to be road related, like road related. right?
Infrastructure.
Yeah, okay,
It's an infrastructure thing.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, but
I
it's,
mean, we can
this is-
pave his road if you want.
that wouldn't even.
We
make
don't
it
have
That's like, yeah.
We don't have to kick in $900,000.
I don't know, you got Kendall fighting with you now.
Yeah,
Kendall,
not
right? Yeah.
Kendall, Hessen.
Oh, Hessen, I'm sorry,
Yeah, that
Hessen,
lady
yeah,
wants Hessen.
yeah, Hessen fighting with you now.
But I'm just looking at this and you've got 2 different ones, 55 and 160.
Yep,
So if we're only getting 80,
because this is total cost and we only pay half.
oh, okay. Okay.
Not only, I mean, them are still pricey.
Yeah, what is, well, then I think that's.
So we're gonna pay $27,000 on this one. 27,500 and 30,000 on the other one.
And then what have left over, we can use for other ditching.
Right, or another culvert or something, but
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so,
using is using it, you know, I mean, one less thing to go out of our road, you know,
Yeah.
our budget right now, you
we're
know.
gonna
So
have,
they're not gonna, they'll give us just the remainder out, or they keep it and then we just use it and they just take away, you know? like,
no,
how
they're gonna
does that
send
work?
us a check.
Okay,
but then you have to keep track and make sure,
Okay.
kind of like we're doing with the grant
so
money.
do I have to
I
have a separate, do we use it as a separate?
I don't think so, because roads are right in the general fund. Right? We account for it right in the general.
Yeah.
Can you do like a different account? Like if roads are,
I'll ask Wes, because, you know, we did move the ARPA, but we had to put it under federal grant money. I had to put it under, you know, when I went to that class, I learned that I had to put it under a certain
Okay.
account and
Well,
everything.
then ask him.
Yeah, I'll ask Wes and see what he says, you know, just in case, you know, but, okay.
But Rushing said if we don't spend it correctly, he's giving it to Wales.
Oh, I don't know, Wales could use it. No offense to Wales.
So,
well, I'll make a motion that we adopt this resolution
Resolution
11-121.
support,
I'll support.
okay, Christie, yes, Berenger,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
carried. We'll sign that one. Huh? Oh, snow plowing. Here's our snow plowing list for this year. The salting, we do only when approved.
So we just got to do the same thing that we did last time.
So whatever we wrote on the last one, we
Yeah.
need to write on
Yeah.
this
As
one.
needed before.
Yeah, I think
Business
Yeah,
days
I can
and-
pull last year's, I
Yeah,
can just
like
write
you
it.
wrote a few.
Yeah, and
things.
if you want to sign that, and then I can just look it up,
Yeah, and then you'll send it back to
and
me
then
afterwards.
I'll send it to you. I'll look up what was on last
Okay, and we'll
month's.
do the sidewalks, yes, we
Yeah.
don't worry about that.
Well, Bob came too and did them if it was.
Oh,
too.
oh,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
So I'll
So-
make a motion to approve the snowplow bid with our corrections, with our additions.
Snowplow bid
Because we did anything over 2
with
inches.
conditions.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we did 2 inches and then salting. When
So
we
2
called.
inches,
2 inches,
before 9 AM,
yeah, before 9, Monday through Thursday.
9 AM.
Did we have products with them last year, or was that 2 years ago?
It was 2 years ago where
Okay,
they
I
were
was gonna
coming
say, I
on the
don't
weekend.
remember,
They were
you know.
coming on the weekend.
And salt when
Salt when.
Salt
Salt
when-
when requested.
requested.
Yeah.
Okay. Christie, yes. Duncan, Berenger,
Yes.
carried. Anything else to discuss?
Nope.
Motion for adjournment.
I can't see the clock, Phoebe.
9:37.
Thank you.
You want to second it?
I'll support.
Boy, what a pleasant, productive meeting.
9:37. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Done.
I'll have to see if Mike can pull that down tomorrow and look at that, if there's a battery in there or something. Because it was fine last month. Really light.